right, next story. Now, this next one's tough because you don't think that this stuff is so close to home, but it is, especially in Massachusetts. I mean, Alex, you take it away. You let us know.
Yeah, so right now, personally, going through the process of looking at like preschools and pre-K and stuff like that for my kids. And we did a couple of like online, like poking around. We looked at a lot. We scheduled actually a bunch of appointments. Long story short, we ended up finding a place that kind of aligned with us. And we didn't end up going to any other schools. But in looking through the schools, this one was something that it bothered me to the core because, and it's something where, just like parenthood, there's nothing that can really prepare you for it. It's the same, and it's like that with every step of the way. Nothing's going to prepare you for wiping asses until you're wiping asses. Nothing is going to prepare you for a fever until your kid gets a fever. Nothing's going to prepare you for school until your kids start going to school. You know, or friendships or bullying or anything. There's no teachings that can do it. So it's like, all you can do is try to do the best job that you can looking into these things and finding out the right things to do before they happen. So, I'm looking at preschools, and it's one of those things where we were looking at the whole spectrum of, they have public pre-K, which is pretty much free, essentially. There's like, you know, you can pay some fees and stuff, but it's essentially free. And then you can go to like the private ones that go anywhere from, you know, $6,000 a year to $40,000 a year. It's insane. So, in looking through this, so first to start, just to preface, there was plenty of schools that I looked at the pictures, all that stuff, gay flags, already just at the preschools. You know what I mean? And a lot of these schools are, I didn't know preschool and pre-K were two different things. Pre-K is like the preschool. So preschool is right before kindergarten. Pre-K is kind of like, it's like preschool, but it's the year before. You're too young to go into it. And then there's toddler classes. So almost all of these preschools that we looked into have toddler, and I think it's age of like 1.5 to 2.5. Pre-K is 2.5 to 3.5, then 3.5 to 4.5 is like preschool. Give or take, whatever, a couple of months. Obviously, kindergarten's about 5 years old. So you start looking into these places, and surface level, you wanted to align with what you believe in as a family and stuff like that. And it's like, all right, to me, I don't see any needs for my kids to learn about sexuality. I don't see any needs for them to learn about gender and anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, the extent of it is like, my son knows he's a boy and my daughter knows she's a girl. They're twins. That's the extent. I don't sit there and go, Henry, you don't do, you know what I mean? Like, they actually generally go towards just what their gender is into. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I know I'm going off on a tangent, but just the other day I turned on the TV and Gisela want to watch princesses. And Henry goes, no, Henry doesn't want to watch princesses. But it's like, I don't sit there and go, Henry, you don't watch princesses. Gisela, you don't watch trucks.
Right.
But it's like, Henry's always like, I want to watch cars. She's always like, I want to watch princesses.
Yeah.
It's just, those are things that we watch in the house. This one likes this one likes that. Not taught, nothing. So, to get back into the preschool thing, it's like we went and started looking at them, and it's like, surface level, let's start looking at the clues. Because it's a hard conversation to bring up to people on anything. Like, to strangers, being like, hey, do you have trans people come here? Like, it's a weird thing to have to ask a fucking stranger.
Yeah.
But to me, it's very important to know that. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
It's very important to know, like, who's coming into this school. You know what I mean? Like, I'm skeptical. When we went to one of the interviews, the building inspector came in for the town. And it's like, I know the town and everything like that, but he walked into the preschool, and my first thought was like, I know he's a building inspector, but still, like, you know what I mean? Like, the parents know that that this guy comes in here and stuff like that. So I'm at that level where it's like, hey, this is a fucking preschool. I would think it would be weird if I walked in here without a fucking appointment, just like any other person that's not a student here or whatever.
Right.
So surface level, it's like you look at all these preschools and it's like, I see like the gay flag flying in front of it, and I'm already like, all right, doesn't align with my values. And it was alarming how much I saw that. Yeah. Because to me, like I said, we're talking below 4 years old. Why is there gay flags here?
Yeah.
Why is there already a marketing campaign for something, for an ideology? You know what I mean? Like, it's way too fucking young. So surface level, the amount that I X'd out was, I probably X'd out 4 places. And I'm just looking at local places.
Wow.
X'd out 4 places just from seeing them.
Wow.
So I find this other place, and unfortunately for them, they weren't upfront about it. So I read about the school, and I told my wife, because one of the things I do believe in is the underpinnings of religion have the tendency to make a better community.
Absolutely.
And that's, whether people think it's right or wrong, I think it's right. I don't think that you're going to find a better community that has nothing in common. To me, it's like, all right, and there's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, a tight-knit community to me is a better community, and I think that when you look at tight-knit communities, a lot of them have either religious or nationalistic, relationships. So I look at this one, and it was actually a Jewish school, or they did Jewish teachings. So, like I said, I'm not a super religious person, but Catholic schools, Jewish schools, fucking Islamic schools, you name it, I still feel like it's better than the gay flag school. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's their underpinning. At those schools, it's like, we all believe in this social justice thing. I'd rather my kid go to a fucking school about like Sharia law. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather them learn about like conservative, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just because they're going to learn math, science, and English, and it's going to be, even if it is influenced by religion, at least that religion is like, love your neighbor, don't fucking cheat, don't steal, don't lie, don't do anything like that, So I look into this school, and they did it said it was like a conservative Jewish school where they would do like certain prayers and readings from Judaism and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? I actually like that it has that aspect. And so I read on to see if you were not Jewish, could you still go to the school? And it's like, we accept everybody even if you're not Jewish, but that's just part of our curriculum is that we teach that. I'm like, all right, I could be down with that. So then I'm scrolling through and I'm clicking on all the tabs. And I'll send you the pictures of what we have. But sorry, let me see if I'm let me click. So at the very bottom of the page, I went to go to the contact us to see if I could set up an appointment. They have a Who We Are tab, a Careers tab, and then they have a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion tab. Oh. This is a fucking preschool that does toddlers, pre-K, and preschool. So, even too, I'll give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's some corporate preschool that has 100 locations and they have to have like a, we welcome everybody spiel. Sure, you know what I mean? Yeah, sometimes that's just the fucking case. Sometimes you work at, if you go work at fucking, I don't know, you name it Google, you might be the most conservative guy in the world, but guess what? Your email thing is built by the marketing team, and they put your pronouns in there. Right. Even if you don't want them, you're getting the fucking he, him pronouns. That's just what they do. And you know what I mean? It's easy to judge them, but it might be a situation where it's like, hey, dude, I didn't want to do it, but I don't make my email signature. They do.
It's funny. When I was buying a house, the guy that was helping me get applied for my mortgage had pronouns in his email, and I just dropped them. I just got a new guy, dropped it.
Yeah, because it's just poisoning the well. You know what I mean? And it's like, it sucks because you need people just like that COVID vaccine thing with Trump, where it's like, we're going to reinstate all these people. Like, there's people that probably quit or lost their jobs going, I'm not fucking doing that stuff. Yeah. And there's so many people that are afraid to give that pushback, and now all of a sudden they're compliant to it. Yeah. And then 3 years in, they're like, what's the big deal? They write me a paycheck and this and that. And that's how that stuff gets bigger and bigger, But so this section, so I go into the diversity, equity, inclusion, and it says, we joyfully celebrate LGBTQ plus families, and we are committed to fostering a culture of belonging in every space we create. And it's like, all right, that's kind of just like your generic corporate spiel.
Yeah.
Underneath that spiel is a picture of what looks like a man who became a woman wearing crazy, like...
It's a cartoon character.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the picture. Look.
Oh.
It's a cartoon character.
Yeah, it's somebody that's... And they're sitting next to... What? A 5-year-old girl? A 4-year-old girl?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like I just immediately put myself in the shoes of like, if I didn't click around on this website, they sold me on the fucking homepage, on all this other stuff. If I didn't go down and click on this tab, I told Victoria, like, I actually want to look into this place. And, you know, I started scrolling and I just thought to myself, like, it scares the shit out of me to think that that parent might not even know that that's what's happening at that school. You know what I mean? They send their kids to pre-K, they go to work every day, they pick their kids up from school. Yep, okay, yeah, Miss Jane came in and read us books. Little do you know, Miss Jane is really,
Mr. Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, Billy Smith
Yeah.
got transitioned 3 years ago, and now he's sitting on the carpet, you know, knee to knee with your daughter, dressed like you used to see it. The drag queens like in P-Town and stuff like
Right.
that. Like, dressed like RuPaul, that
Yeah.
drag show. And it's like, why is that in a preschool?
Right.
Why are we inviting that into our preschools?
And here's the thing: is like this person that we just showed you isn't even trying to dress up like a male or a female. So it's not like this guy has clear breasts, a mustache, and makeup that makes zero sense. You will not see a single woman on planet Earth with the makeup that you just saw.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so hyperbolic that when I say cartoon character, that's what it is. It's a Halloween costume. It's ridiculous.
Right. And that's what it is too. Is like even in the picture, like I can't even tell. Like I'm assuming that this person is trans, but even if they aren't trans, it's that motif of a person. This person might be a woman, but they're dressed like that gender ambiguous dressing, but they have the rainbow vest on and the makeup on. So I was like, maybe this was a woman the whole time, but it's being presented as an ambiguous gender presentation. You know what I mean? So it's like
Pat from SNL.
Right. It's it's like it's this thing that's just like it's almost like even if it's not trans, it's an introduction to trans. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Well, what they're doing is they're telling kids that that's okay to do.
Right.
And when you're engaged in a behavior that has a suicide rate of like 50%, you shouldn't advocate for that behavior.
Right.
If the suicide rates are that high, I don't want my kid around it. I don't want my kid doing it. And here they are at your pre-K. And this is on the South Shore. I know we got a lot of people in Massachusetts that listen to us. If you got small kids, do your research because this is hidden at the bottom of a page. You have to find this. Right. This isn't front and center. This is hidden. You have to scroll down to the very end, click the DEI thing, it brings you to something else.
Right.
And that's where you're going to find this stuff. This is right here on the South Shore. Ridiculous. Insane. Why are we teaching kids about sex? Small children.
Right.
About gay sex. Why are we doing that? What's the motive here?
Right.
The motive is, honestly, like I said, when you give an inch, you take a mile. Where's the logical conclusion? Teaching kids about gay sex and sex is pedophilia. That's where it goes. I think it's about, out of the transgender people that are in prison right now, the vast, vast majority of them are in prison for sex crimes. And a lot of these people that, and you'll see it if you do your research, these people that are around kids oftentimes are the ones getting arrested for sex crimes. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, even to the suicide thing. I mean, it's just a situation where I want kids to be confused about fucking division. and dividing fractions and proper grammar. That's what's supposed to be confusing at school. It's supposed to be confusing figuring that stuff out. You're not supposed to be confused about like I said, I have twins. Right now there's no confusion. Gisela knows she's a girl and Henry knows he's a boy.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, and the behavior is clear too.
Right. And so it's like, why are we introducing a new thing to that that's, I don't know, it doesn't exist. It's not you know what I mean? It's not something that they think about. And it's like, you get to a place like this where it's reinforced on every level, where there's another one that says inclusive bathrooms at it's called JCC Greater Boston. We are committed to creating a welcoming and inclusive environment for everybody, regardless of gender expression or identity. We believe that everyone deserves a space where they feel safe, respected, and comfortable. To support this commitment, we offer multiple gender-inclusive bathrooms and changing rooms throughout our facility. Additionally, we have an ADA-compliant, gender-inclusive bathroom to ensure accessibility for individuals with disabilities. We design these spaces to accommodate the diverse needs of our community and reflect our dedication to inclusivity and equity. And so these are things where, like I said, it's just an introduction, and that's what they need to do. Just like we were saying before, where it's like if you tell the same lie enough, it becomes the truth. And it's this subtle psychology that is like this warfare that happens out there that I think people don't realize that they're in. And people they dismiss it like it's not serious. Like, let's not even take it serious. It's not that big of a deal. It's not whatever. It's not going to do anything. What's the third bathroom with a gender ambiguous person going to do? What it's going to do is it's going to make your kid think about it.
Yeah.
And that's what starts it. And it's like, I'm not saying that they should never think about it, that they're never going to question it, but those are natural things that any human being might think about, but it's something that they do on their own accord. You know what I mean?
And much later in life.
Right, and much later in life.
Later.
You know, like if a guy thinks he's gay, he's going to think about it and let that person figure that shit out. That's their fucking journey. You shouldn't be like walking up to children like, you need to think about whether you're gay or not.
Or a boy or a girl.
Yeah, why are you telling people they need to think about it?
Or even when they say, what's that flag mean? You know,
right.
What are you going to say?
Yeah.
It just means
exactly
sex.
Well,
that's what it means.
Everybody knows what the American flag is. Why is the gay flag flying right below it?
Yeah.
You bet your ass they know what it is. If there was an American flag and right below it was an Italian flag, I bet you every single student in that school is going to know that's an Italian flag. Right. Because it's flying right, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to know what that second flag is. 100% of everybody at that school knows what the top flag is, and they've got to know what that next flag is, no matter what it is. So it's like, it's just this subtle psychology of, and sometimes it's not that subtle. I mean, bringing in, like I said, I don't know if they're trans, but at least gender ambiguous, cross-dressing, sort of drag-esque people to read to preschoolers is fucking insane to me. It's insane to me.
Absolutely.
And so even when you look at it, I mean, I always look at it from, there's a cultural perspective, but culture, it's tough because culture can dictate things. It's kind of like with pop music. Like, all pop music sounds the same. But eventually you get an artist that they become pop music just because of how popular they are. You know what I mean? Like to me, Taylor Swift makes pop music. It's not like she was in some genre and then it became pop music. It's the other way around. It started as pop music and they start as hits and everybody enjoys them, and that's why they're pop. There's no other genre there, you know, and you could do a million people that are like that. But every once in a while you get somebody like that isn't pop that becomes pop, like Eminem. Rap wasn't pop music. It wasn't charting that way. It wasn't any of that. But he became so popular that he got identified as pop music, but it's like he's clearly not pop music. He just fit that definition. And so these are things where it's like you look into why these people are doing stuff like that, and it's like there's a cultural reason, but there's also an incentive for doing stuff like this. Because if you're figuring out budgets. Like every year, these guys have to do their budgets. They got to figure out where they're getting their money from and stuff like that. So it's very indicative of the places that you see stuff like this. And I'm sure it's the same in California. I'm sure it's, you name the liberal place and you'll see these same grants, committees, reinforcement agencies that are funded by the fucking millions to be able to put we're putting a third bathroom in our preschool. Oh, file this piece of paperwork with the fucking, with the Safe Schools program for LGBTQ students in the state of Massachusetts, and we'll give you $240,000. And then it's like, oh, fucking sweet. You know what I mean? And a lot of them are like private schools and stuff like that, so you see it get poisoned, not just like, you see the cultural shift, but then you see it get reinforced from like the mainstream side of things.
From the government. It's getting reinforced by state government.
Yeah. And it's like, it's the same thing where when people like, and you see it like we just went through an election cycle and they're like, why the fuck did Mike Pence run? They know he's not going to win. You know what I mean? It's like, early on, it's like, it's either going to be DeSantis or it's going to be Trump. Nobody in the world thought Mike Pence had a shot. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know why he's running? Because all him and his team are going to make millions of dollars. And it's the same thing with these government programs where it's like LGBTQ, if you support it, there's a massive financial input to these things. And even if you don't work at the preschools or whatever, guess what? There's a 70-person committee for LGBTQ students that's government assigned, that pays for your expenses, all that shit. It's funded. So this GLBT Commission, State of Massachusetts, on the mass.gov website, budget summary. I just looked up what their budget is. Their budget tracking for year 2023 is $1.1 million. And these people are unpaid volunteers, but they get reimbursed for any expenses related to it, which, as you know, you see that happen in Congress all the time. These people make $230,000 a year, but guess what? My first class flight to fly to the Capitol, that's a business expense. Yeah. My fucking limo, my lunch, my dinner, my fucking new laptop, my cell phone. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like, well, these people don't get paid. Yeah, well, guess what? Nancy Pelosi makes fucking $170,000 a year. She's like a fucking, I don't know if she's a billionaire, but I'm sure hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, no.
You know, the most successful investor in the history of the fucking world is Nancy Pelosi and her husband. I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
And it's the same type of stuff with this, with the LGBTQ stuff, where it's like, you see hospitals that get grants, you see schools get these grants, they're all incentivized to do these things. And like I said, it turns into that poisoning the well, where it's like, I run a private preschool, you run a private preschool. You don't want to be an LGBTQ 3-bathroom, I'm going to teach my kids about, you know, gender transition and have all these books and all this stuff. I don't want to. You're going to get the grant for a quarter, whatever the amount of money is. You're going to get the support from the government. You're going to have a seat at the board of this fucking bullshit for the state of Mass. I'm not going to have any of that. So now my building isn't going to have as good of infrastructure as your, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be as clean, it's not going to be as new, because guess what? You're at a $250,000 advantage.
Yeah.
Here's this money, build new bathrooms. Now all your bathrooms are new. Now all your kitchens are new. All your changing rooms are new. All that stuff is nice, new, clean, certified, paid for by the government. Meanwhile, mine's got the old carpet from fucking 2004 because I didn't get the grant, because I don't buy the fucking book about, you know, Johnny wearing a fucking dress and read it to the group of kids, and I don't invite the trans people and all that stuff to the schools. So you're just like the DEI stuff. It's the opposite. Like, you end up fundamentally being at a disadvantage for being what was considered the norm forever. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know, let's just be fucking regular people. We all think that we're normal, regular people, and now they're like, no, we should get more money because we're the part of this group, and I want more money. And they go, you know what? You're right. Let's establish a committee. Let's hire 20 people. This will be the head of the board. You'll be the finance person. You're the treasurer. You're the fucking whatever. You know what I mean? And it's all this big money grab, and it's like I said, it's poisoning the well.
There is no such thing as a gay, lesbian, bisexual, or straight pre-K student.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no such fucking thing.
Right. Well, that's what's crazy is like, because it's weird because gay and lesbian is, and this was something that I always kind of, and maybe I'm being judgmental, maybe there's certain things that I don't know, but there's plenty of gay guys out there where it's like, if you hung out, like if you had dinner with them, you'd probably figure out that they were gay. And then there's gay guys where you're like walking down the street and you're like, that guy's gay.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, those are the gay guys that don't, and I hate speaking for them, but I've had these conversations where it's like, those are the people that don't like each other.
Right.
For the same reason that, and it happens in every culture, where there's Italians that go, look at this guinea over here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. You know? But even like the real old school Italians, they hated the mafia guys.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole culture
So
loves
true,
the mafia. Oh, it's so cool and blah, blah, blah. And then you talk to like old people that are Italians and they're like, fuck those people. They're criminals. They victimize all the Italians that were good, hardworking people. And it's the same thing that you look at in these cultures where it's like, no, fuck that. Just what? I'm gay, so now I have to, like I said, now I have to be pro-trans and I have to talk like this and I have to walk like this and I have to eat this and do. It's like, no, I'm just a fucking guy.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, is that you're talking about adults.
Right.
We're talking about children.
Well, and that's
why are those grants even applicable
exactly
to a pre-K institution? Right. How is that even an applicable thing that you can fucking get?
Right.
Yeah. That's my question.
Well, right, and that's the thing to like finish that up, where it's like a gay guy is a guy that's attracted to men. Do you really have that physical sex drive when you're 4?
No.
Yeah,
when you're 5, you know what I mean? Like, I remember having like kind of a crush and not knowing why on a girl like in like 1st, 2nd grade, but it was not like, and it was still like a different kind of feeling. It wasn't like, I want to bang this chick. I didn't even know what that was. It was like, oh, that girl's pretty and she's really cute, and like that's what you think when you're like 5 and 6.
Right.
But it's like you don't really start getting that until like your preteens. You know what I mean? Like, and even then, it's still not like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like, you shouldn't be influencing that, even that type of behavior. It's like, when has being straight ever been reinforced?
Right.
When has a teacher ever been like, hey, you're straight, so if you like girls, you should bang them and get in relationships with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like, if you're gay, it's like, listen, if you want to do that with a man, you have all the right to do that. Yeah. It's like, you're looking at a 10-year-old and saying that.
Right.
So it's inexcusable stuff, and I was so surprised to see it, and I know I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was just so surprised to see it, or maybe I just took it a little bit more seriously because now my kids are going to be in that environment. Yeah. But like, because I've seen it as low as like elementary schools, which still bothers the shit.
Of course,
it shouldn't be in schools at all.
But now it's like we're in fucking pre-K, so it's like it's the inception of this system, like the very fucking beginning. It's just crazy.
There's no way that those kinds of grants should in any way, shape, or form be applicable to a fucking pre-K institution. That is absolutely insane.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's exactly. It's like I look at that, like when they talk about like budget constraints and government spending and government debt and all that shit. It's like, I just found $1.1 million.
Yeah.
I'll never in my life find $1.1 million personally. I just found the government $1.1 million, and all it is. Can we all agree, let's just do a fucking show of hands in Massachusetts? Can we stop the LGBTQ Inclusive Diversity Committee that's overseeing expense reimbursements for people on their board to what? Talk about like, yeah, we should be doing it. All right, let's go grab lunch. You gonna have a trans kid at your school? Perfect, sweet. Let's go grab a coffee. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I even looked at like their meeting. Their meeting's a fucking joke. Like they have to keep track of the minutes, and it's like, we're going to talk about diversity. And then the next one's like, we're going to talk about gay and trans people. And then it's like coffee break. And then it's like, now we're going to talk about regional effects of blah, blah, blah. lunch break. You know, and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys getting paid for?
No, instead of cutting that program, Maura Healey has to put a 6.25% sales tax on M&Ms.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the Secretary of Transportation has to make more fines and tolls for people.
Traffic cameras, that's the next thing. Traffic cameras
let's
and
do that
speeders.
instead.
Yeah, let's build bike lanes for nobody.
For nobody.
Yeah.
For nobody.
And it's like, even too, like, when I was saying earlier, like, how you can't prepare your kids for fevers and stuff like that, and it's like, us being in Massachusetts, it's, you know, I'm sitting there, and it's just, it's tough, it's crazy, because at the medical center closest to us, they're also a pediatric office, the sign right when you walk in is, like, we don't tolerate verbal abuse, physical abuse, like all this crazy stuff. Like pretty much saying like, if you're going to be a crazy asshole, like don't come in here.
Right.
And it's like when I read that sign, the first thing I think of is like, in my day-to-day life, I don't see crazy assholes.
Right.
I might see one like once a quarter, like once every 3 months, and I'll tell everybody like, yo, I saw this chick at fucking Target that was flipping out because they didn't take her fucking American Express card and she threw it, you know, like.
Right.
And even still, once every 3 months, probably not, maybe like once a year. There's a sign at this fucking place. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to these people walking in here where you have to put up a sign that says, don't abuse us? You know what I mean? And it's like, but you know what the reasoning is because it's like, you walk into a fucking pediatric office. You know, we went to a urology. So urology. That's all the parts that are associated with gender. We walk into a urology pediatric department after our kids were born. Gay trans flag on the front desk, one's hanging on the wall, and there's a set of balloons that are the rainbow balloons with the LGBTQ balloons. And I'm like, I'm at a pediatric urology office. So urology is all the parts for, like, and it's a surgical office. So if you're going through transitions, guess what all these kids are doing? They're going to go see a fucking urologist in that area of surgery. I'm in that surgical department. Why do you guys have these flags here? Why do you have this out there? And it's like, I'm just going there for normal, everyday stuff. And it's like, all I'm thinking to myself is like, it just felt weird. It like felt like I was at a place. All I was thinking was like, I'm in a place where they do that stuff. It's like, I look at it as like, you're mutilating these kids. And
that's 100%.
The other people look at it like, oh no, it's a gender-affirming surgery and stuff like that. But it's like, I'm walking into this place, and it started to click, like, why the fuck are they doing, why do they have these flags out? And it's like, whatever, I'm in Boston, what the fuck do you expect? But then when I realized where I was, I'm like, I'm at the place where they do surgery on those parts of boys and girls at a pediatric office. So it's not even like it's men and women. Like, this is a pediatric office strictly for parts associated with gender in their surgery ward. This is where they fucking do it. And I felt, I was there for the right reasons, but it felt horrible to be like, are these kids, those kids that you see in the news, like when you watch Ben Shapiro show and they're doing double mastectomies for whatever, or they're inverting this kid's penis and he's 5. And it's like, am I at that place where they're doing that right now?
Yeah. Honestly,
and it made me feel horrible. You know what I mean? Like, it made me feel like, am I talking to the person that's scheduling that appointment? Am I talking to the doctor that does that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm here for a different reason, but am I talking to you know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know what? Oh, yeah, that dentist was great, and he did my teeth, and blah, 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 and then you find out it's fucking Dr. Goebbels. You know what I mean? And you're like, damn, I went there for the right reasons, but that's the guy that's experimenting on fucking doing this?
Yeah.
It makes you feel like almost guilty by association, and it's like, how do you get away from it?
One of the biggest lies, I think, perpetrated besides COVID over the last 15 years is this continued talking point from the left that this isn't happening to kids. We're not doing it to kids. It's not children. Yes, it is.
It is.
And it's clearly starting in the pre-K level.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, my God, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I don't know. I don't like to be use hyperbole, but I mean, it's kind of a form of genocide. You know what I mean? You are taking entire generations of children and making it so that they can't reproduce.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And encouraging that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
Well, that's what it is. And that's what's crazy about it is like it's. And this might be my fucking conspiracy about like foreign interference, but it's like if I was another country, it was like, all right, perfect, outbreed them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Convince them that they're fucking whatever.
Yeah.
They can't have kids. They can't fight in the military now. Like it's
give that
psychological
money.
warfare.
Yeah,
Right? Exactly.
program
Fund it,
money.
influence it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Fun.
TikTok. That was the big thing with TikTok is a lot of this gender weird shit. Kids are seeing it on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I'll go right back to the DEI thing where, you know, it was a way to fast track liberal Marxists into positions of power, and that's how we end up with shit like that with these committees.
Right.
You know, because they got in there not from working hard, but because they were probably gay or whatever, and now you have this far leftist in a position of power implementing all this bullshit.
Right.
You know, and this is just a small piece of the puzzle to what their agenda is, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm so glad that all this shit's gone. I mean, even they said, you remember you were saying when we were talking on the phone that Hingham Public Schools, they're compromised.
They have gay flags.
Yeah, they're compromised. So I hope Trump does something where if you receive money from the federal government, you don't have any.
Well, I mean, I know the one school that the one Hingham school has the gay crosswalk when you drive into it. And that's an elementary school.
Right, no.
Fucking elementary, dude.
Well, so I have family that works at the Hingham Public Schools, and there was a word problem. And this is the little psychological wins that they get that everybody just goes, nah, it's no big deal. I'm not going to fucking walk into the school and yell at the school board, or I don't have time to go to the fucking school board committee. And this is where I think, you know, it's kind of like with Trump, even like when you look at a state like Massachusetts, I think part of the reason he doesn't win more is because you get those old school fucking blue collar fucking Boston guys, they're not going in and voting, but the college kids that live there are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's that same thing where it's like, I'm not going to go to the school board and complain about this, but the problem was, you know, Johnny lost his keys to his locker or something like that. And he's got 3 friends. Tommy, Isabella, and fucking Samantha, right? So 2 boys, 2 girls. The word problem is whoever can find the keys gets a kiss from Johnny. And it was like, all right, let's backtrack to where we are. And it named all the places. And it was kind of like a problem where you had to like solve like, all right, this person went here and this is where they ended up being. So who has the keys? And the word problem ended up being fucking Tommy finds the keys. And everybody everybody was like, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't say in the problem that Johnny and Tommy kiss. But that's where it gets into your fucking
that's the expected reward.
The beginning is, yeah, exactly. The reward is a kiss from Johnny, and Tommy wins. It doesn't say like, and then at the end, Johnny and Tommy kiss. So that's where it turns into like, all right, it's no big deal. But it's the subtlety of introducing to a fucking 5-year-old, because this is in an elementary school, 2 boys kissing. And it's like, and this is where, like you said, the left gets into this thing where they market it perfect. They have a great marketing thing, because you know what? You sit there and you go, why are you saying Johnny is kissing Tommy? Why are you introducing 2 boys kissing? And then they go, what are you, homophobic?
Right.
And that's all they need to say.
That's so true.
That's all they need to say for the conversation to be like, well, no, I'm not homophobic. I'm just saying, like, you know, it doesn't bother me, but maybe it bothers somebody else. And it's like, no, let's start saying it. It fucking bothers me.
Well, how about this? How about there shouldn't be any kind of a kissing reward in a fucking 6-year-old's math problem?
How about the reward is I got a cupcake and we're going to split it. Or we're going to fucking, my mom's going to make brownies. Or, like, why is the reward? Exactly.
Yeah.
Why is the reward? And that's the thing is they downplay the sexuality of it. Right now, kissing, we're in our fucking 30s. We don't look at it like, oh my God.
Two of us are in our 30s.
But when you're 5, kissing is like, oh my God, my first kid, like that's a fucking, that, right now what sex means to 30-year-olds is what a kiss means to a 5-year-old. Right. That's like, you just entered that world. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that is the world of committing sexually to something. That's what a kiss like represents. And it's like, now it's those little things where it's like, oh yeah, all right, perfect. Tommy found the keys and Johnny said he was going to kiss him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, this is at an elementary school that's got a gay flag flying. It's got a gay flag crosswalk. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's fucking, and it's just unacceptable, and it just shouldn't be in a fucking school.
No,
it should not be in a fucking school. It shouldn't be with children that age. I don't think it should be in middle schools. I don't even think it should be in fucking high schools.
Right.
I don't think you should be teaching a 14-year-old that. And what, a 14-year-old is what? A fucking freshman? Sophomore, maybe?
Yeah. A freshman.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think that they should be learning about stuff like that. You're going to teach it to a 4-year-old? It's fucking crazy.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy. And it's, I don't know, it's all this, like I said, you're not going to see stuff like that in fucking Florida.
No,
you know what I mean?
No,
you're not going to see it in Florida.
My very good friend who moved to Kentucky, this is not a fucking problem in Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's just not.
That.
Yeah, and and I'm glad that there's still places, because it's like, I don't know, like you rewind to like, if you ever went to your guidance counselor, like when we were in school and we went, hey, I'm a girl, they'd be like, Alex, you're not a girl.
Right.
Now it's like, oh.
Right.
Well,
Here's
let
the
me
dress.
fucking have a meeting with the other guidance counselors, the administrators. Let's keep the parents out of it, because they might oppress this poor child's right to
another
express their own
gigantic
gender.
fucking sin.
And well, that's what's crazy is like they've taken the rights from parents, and it's like there's not enough controversy about it.
Right.
And it's like, it's crazy because the left will say there's too much controversy about it. I'm like, there's fucking not enough.
Not nearly enough.
Because you doing that to one fucking kid, to me, it's like, there's a story, and it's a local family, and it's this woman that takes pride and like kind of brags about it. Like, it's not, we didn't teach my kids anything. She's got 3 boys, 2 of them are trans, 1 of them's gay. We never influenced anything. We never told them about anything or whatever. And it's like, it's this story that she tells, and it's like this thing that like all these moms talk about and stuff like that. And I was actually talking with another family member who's a mother of like 6 kids. She's a religious woman. And it's like, it's funny because people think like, oh, they're going to make some religious kooky argument or whatever. The only thing that she said, and I've heard this story going around for a while, the only thing that she said was, the mother always says that there's no influence, and she has 2 trans kids, 2 trans boys that became girls, and a gay son. Where did the girls' clothes come from? There's no influence. Where the fucking girls? You had 3 fucking boys. There shouldn't be girls' clothes in the fucking house.
Yeah.
How are they? So what? Did they go and steal girls' clothes, come home and wearing a dress?
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Or are you fucking, you know what I mean? Like, or do you think you're not influencing them, but you fucking are?
Not to mention the insane statistical improbability of just so
I was just
going to
say that
3 kids in the LGBT.
Yeah, you better buy a lotto ticket.
Yeah, I know. You should. You know, it's for.
Well, and that's what it is. That's what's crazy about it, because it's like, did you read that story? That whole documentary about that girl. I forget what they call it. Is it like Hodgkin's something? But it's like when the parents think that there's something wrong with their kids, and they give them medicine,
and there's nothing.
And they're not even sick.
Yeah.
And she had like 100 surgeries before she was 10, and she had all this medication.
Yeah.
Kind of find out nothing was even fucking wrong with her. And then the daughter ends up kind of figuring it out and gets a boyfriend, and the boyfriend killed the mother.
Yeah.
And but to me, that's kind of the same dynamic where it's like you have a kid that's like, kids fuck around all the time. They say dumb things all the time. Like I know for a fact, before 5 years old, I've painted my fingernails with my mom's nail polish. It's like you're 4 years old. It's
right.
My mom, it's, you know, it would be a disservice and a fucking, in my opinion, a crime to be like, my son painted his nails. I'm sending him to school in a dress tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they go, the suicide rates are crazy. And it's like, you just sent your kid to school with a fucking dress on because he said, I'm a girl, and he's 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's funny because I can see it in my son where it's like, my daughter will be like, Gisella's a girl. Mama's a girl. Nana's a girl. And then Henry will go like, Henry's a girl, and you can tell he's like being like mischievous.
Sure, right.
You're not a girl, and he's like, Henry a boy. And you can tell he's kind of just like being a boy, like fucking around like a boy. Because girls are kind of a lot more like, they don't fuck around. I know it sounds like that. It's a weird way to put it.
Yeah.
But they're very like, no, it's this. And you're like, relax.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The boy's like, I can't do it, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, you want me to lay down, I'm gonna stand up.
Right.
I'm gonna use that blanket, I'm gonna use that blanket. And so it's like, it's just crazy that there's parents out there that are like, he said it, that's what it is, surgery's tomorrow. You know, it's like, that's fucking criminal. It's criminal.
It is criminal.
You know? I mean, going through that, it's like, when I walk into these preschools, it's like the first thing I'm looking at is, I was like, I just want, do you mind if I meet the staff? And then I'll meet the whole staff. And what I'm looking for is crazy fucking piercings, hair dye, all that shit, because they say don't judge a book by its cover, but guess what? When I see somebody with a fucking septum piercing and gauges and short blue hair and they're a girl combed over to the side like mine, I'm like,
my kid's not
that's who's going to fucking corrupt my kid.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, that's exactly who it's going to be. I have a fucking 100%. It's I don't know if it's gaydar or transdar or fucking you're going to fucking ruin my kid's life dar, but I'm 100% accurate on that. I'm batting 1,000 where I'm like, I guarantee you that person fucking thinks Trump's a Nazi. Yeah. You know, believes that gender's a spectrum.
There's
and
no
all
American
this crazy
flag in
stuff.
there. It's a gay flag. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like.
So I certainly don't want the details because I wouldn't want to be on the podcast. But did you find a preschool that was acceptable for you? That's good.
And thankfully, it's like, it's crazy because, and I've been saying this forever, and I want people to realize it, where the Democrats have done such a great job saying that the elitists of this country are Republican, fucking whatever. But if you go to the wealthiest, I mean, we live in Massachusetts. The most, and I probably say the most left-leaning, because California, it's the biggest populated blue state, but there's still, like, you go to Northern California, like San Diego, like, you still find ranchers out there wearing cowboy hats that are like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
LA, San Fran, they all dictate everything there.
Right, because the population.
Whereas, like, Massachusetts is so, like, if you could pick an elitist state, if you could name, it would be like, New
York.
I know DC's not a fucking, but you know what I mean? Like areas, it's like, like New York's, but even like New York.
Yeah, upstate
New York City is fucking as blue as can be, but it's like you go to upstate New York and it's like they're fucking rednecks from Maine.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
Fucking hunting
very
on
true.
100 acres of land, and it's like, Mass is very strange where it's like, from the city you get all the students, so I get it. We have it's capital, college capital of the fucking world is Massachusetts. But then when you get out to like even Western Mass, it's where all like the kind of weird hipsters are. So even like the rural parts of Mass, they don't turn into like cowboy hats and boots and I work hard. The people out in the sticks here are like, I make homemade honey. Yeah. And
check out my soap.
Right, and it's like my grandfather's gay, my dad's gay, and I'm gay.
My
We're
cat's
all
gay.
My
cat's a gay vegan.
So we really don't have like that rural rednecky area that most other places have.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of those things where you walk into these preschools and you're thinking to yourself like, oh, it's the disenfranchised places that are trying to protect diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's the disenfranchised places. Like, they convince you that like, we need to protect these people because we're on the south side of Chicago and they're gonna fucking die if we don't protect them. But
right.
It's like, no, where they're flying the gay flag is you're in one of the wealthiest states in the fucking country, in one of the wealthiest areas in that fucking state. Yeah. And even if you narrow it down further to the county, the richer the fucking town is in that richest fucking county, the more up front and in your face they are. Don't pretend like it's the disenfranchised people with the 2 trans kids and the gay kid.
Right.
It's the fucking people that are they are in an $11 million house in a private community at the private preschool that costs $40,000 a year, that the kids from the fucking hostess fucking line go to that make whatever billions of dollars. That's who's pushing this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the guy that's swinging the fucking hammer and driving the trash truck, they're like, you don't have any of that shit at this school, do you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's so fucking strange and it's backwards. They pretend like it's the disenfranchised people. It's like, no, it's the most privileged fucking people.
Yeah,
that are
look
doing
at Brookline Town Hall. It's filled with gay flags and Black Lives Matters fists. Boston Public Library, gay flags all around it. It's ridiculous. And it's funny, even like right now, I think it's actually happening right now in Rockland. If not, it's happening very soon. They have a LGBTQ bingo at the public library. And I'm just like thinking to myself, like, what is this bingo game? You know, like, is it, instead of like B45, is it, do we have a G strap on? Anyone got a G strap on? Anybody, you know, just like little images of gay shit, you know.
Yeah, like when does bingo become gay?
Yeah, I want just regular bingo where everybody can come.
Right.
You know?
It's not like it's an orgy where they're like, oh, you don't want to make this mistake. That's the gay one. It's fucking bingo. There's no difference if I'm sitting next to 12 gay guys. It's still fucking bingo.
Right.
But yeah, so when I started going down this and I started looking at that commission and stuff, it's like, it's all this money that gets flowed into it. And I pull up, I'm just clicking around on the Mass.gov website to be like, how much time and dedication are they actually putting into this? Like I said, they have a whole committee for it. They got a board for it that's got fucking members that serve 2-year terms and all this bullshit. So I pull up the report and recommendations. It says like, oh, if you want to learn more about it, click on this link. And it's the report and recommendations. Massachusetts Commission on Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and Questioning Youth. So now even if you have questions, you're fucking a gay trans kid.
You're on the flag.
You know? Yeah, it's like, it's fucking crazy.
Flag.
So fiscal year 2025. So let's forget about what's even in the fucking details of the report. Just to show you how much time and resources they're putting into this. This report is 337 pages long.
Jesus Christ.
337 fucking pages long.
Holy fuck.
And it's like, what the fuck are
Who's reading?
Why?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Why? What is all for something that's like, it's a fraction of what anybody's really going through.
Right.
And even the people that are going through it, I think it's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing, where it's like you look through history and they're like, all right, it was like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of 1%. And Bill Maher did a skit where he was like, and according to this trajectory, by 2070, we're all going to be gay, trans, or lesbian.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
you know, it's like...
See, that's the thing. And like I said earlier, is there has now become something where being gay or trans is attractive because of the attention it garnishes.
Right, yeah.
And it's great marketing by the liberals.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and there's something to it because I think before the like trans issue and the bathrooms thing became a thing, you saw it a lot on Facebook, or at least I saw it a lot when I was on social media, where you used to see it with like people that suffered like domestic abuse, like Stockholm Syndrome and stuff, where they'll be like, oh, my fucking boyfriend hit me and blah, blah, blah. And like, you see all these people that are like, you go get him, like, you're the best person ever, and all this,
that's
like,
so true too.
all this attention, like, they're getting, you know what I mean? Like, they're getting 1,000, and it's like, there are people that you know that you went to school with, and you're like, unfortunately, this person's got like 3 friends because they're a crazy person.
Right. And
they're in a crazy relationship because they're crazy.
Right.
And it turns into this whole thing, but then you see like 180 people comment like, you go, you get him, fuck so that person, you don't need anything, and blah, 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 and they get all this attention. And then you see that person, and you're like, oh, so are you still dating that piece of shit that you're posting on? And they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're just a mentally ill person that's...
Right.
You know what I mean? It's that Stockholm Syndrome thing where it's like you get the attention, you get the dopamine, you get all these people to say something nice about you, but it's like they don't even really care about you either. You know? But it's like, and that's what it is. It's everybody pretending to care. And it's like the only people that really care. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're pretending to care about, you know, this trans youth. And it's like I said, that trans youth conversation should be hey, I feel like a girl. Well, Alex, you're not a girl.
Yeah, take a look
and
between
let me talk
your
to your
legs.
parents about it because, you know, clearly there's something going on here, but you're not a girl.
Right.
And that, I think, needs to be what the baseline should fucking be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That should be the baseline. That's
Don't advocate for mental illness.
Right.
If the suicide rate is, I think it's 47%, that's a mental illness.
Right.
How is it not?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I don't know. But
well, and that's what's crazy is like I said, it turns into the chicken and the egg thing where people go, well, they're killing themselves because they're trans and they're getting treated poorly. And the argument on the other side is like, no, it's a mental illness, and you're encouraging and progressing that mental illness to a point where it's literally unfixable. It's you can't, like, detransitioning. I don't know if you've seen like the interviews with the people that try to detransition,
it's fucking tragic,
and they're like,
dude.
Insurance won't cover it. I'm not allowed to be insured. The operations cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's tragic.
I get infections every fucking day and blah blah blah. So it's like they transition you, they hang you out to fucking dry, you don't have insurance, you don't have any of that stuff. So it's like either own it, try to come up with the hundreds of thousands of dollars to reverse it, or I don't know. It seems like what they're doing is fucking just killing themselves.
Well, this is why you're seeing a lot more lawsuits now, and I cannot remember the woman's name that Jordan Peterson interviewed for over an hour, who detransitioned. She went from female to male and then tried to go back to female. And she's one of the first to really sue because they never explained to her what was actually going to happen to her body. Or did they give her any psychological help to realize she was just going through a phase?
Right.
Because teenagers go through phases of not being sure about themselves.
Right.
But this poor woman, she had the mastectomy done, and she had to keep, for the rest of her life, she has to keep her chest bandaged because she will constantly leak just fluids out of her chest for the rest of her life.
Right.
She will never be able to bear children, and that's all she wants to do now. You know what I mean? And so the rate of those that want to, like you say, detransition, and they're unable to because it's just gone too far. There's been several great studies. It's especially brutal for female to male transitioners because testosterone on a female body is terrible. It's like a fucking wrecking ball through their internal organs and everything else, and then they try to go back and you can't. It's too late.
Yeah, they say it's reversible, but
it's not. It is not reversible.
There's no studies that say that.
No
peer-reviewed research or anything.
No. So it's like I said, I kind of compare it to a fucking modern day genocide, quite frankly, of our youth.
Yeah, no, it's some fucking sick. It's like at minimum like some weird sick experimentation.
Right.
That it's like it used to be like. I feel like you ever watch those shows on VH1 where like, well, remember when everybody wore parachute pants in the fucking 80s? What weirdos.
Right.
And I always thought the same thing like with Uggs, where I'm like, eventually like in 2030 they're gonna be like, you remember these fucking stupid weird slipper boots that girls used to wear? They were the most popular thing ever. But now it's gonna be like, hey, do you remember when people used to fucking cut your dick off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like seriously, they're like, do you remember if you like said you were a girl when you were a kid and then you went through massive surgeries? Like, that's what it's going to be now. Like, hey, remember that crazy shit that we did? And it's like, like I said, that's to go back to like the trans thing, because it's mostly specifically the trans thing that gets me, because it almost seems like it's the end goal. It almost seems like gay used to just be gay. And now it seems like with the LGBTQ agenda, gay is step one to being trans.
Oh God, what a great
like that's
point.
what it is. Like
that's
being gay is like, because like I said, nobody's fucking throwing rocks at you when you're walking down the street because you're gay anymore. Like that ended fucking 25 years ago.
Yeah, no.
And it was horrible when it happened then, but it's like it's not fucking happening. You know, if you're a 17-year-old who's gay. Yeah, you're going to get some shit in fucking high school, but guess what? I know redheads that got way more shit than gay kids that are high school. Way fucking more. You know what I mean? Like, hey, fucking flame top, shut up. You know what I mean? You could say that in school in front of the teacher and not get in trouble. You can't be like, hey, shut up, homo. You get expelled for that. You know what I mean? So it's... it seems like it's turning into step one, and I am happy to see, like, you see gay and lesbian people that are like, I'm not fucking, I'm not on board with that. That's not my thing. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's levels to it, and there's a spectrum to it, but I hate that it all got lumped into one thing, because it's like, hey, if the rainbow flag just meant gay, still don't fly it, still don't put it at the kids' crosswalks, don't put it on your fucking website's homepage. But it seems like it's all turning into the extreme of it.
Yeah.
Being gay isn't the thing anymore. Being lesbian isn't the thing anymore. It's being trans, and it's like, I don't want you to talk to my fucking kids about any of that shit.
No.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe in the future we can get someone who identifies as non-binary. Maybe they can explain it to us or something. That would be a good episode.
Yeah, because I'd be curious, because it's like, it's weird because when they talk about like gender expression, to me the word gender isn't even a fucking part of the expression. Expression is like, and I think part of it is a lot to do with like OCD, where people go through like stints of like, you know, hey, I'm in high school and I'm super attached to this culture for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And it always is a phase, you know what I mean? Like, there's kids that are like, all right, that kid was like kind of a preppy kid when his parents were dressing him, and now we're in high school and he's wicked obsessed with smoking weed and he's wearing drug rugs every day.
Right.
And then you fast forward to now and you're like, dude, the guy's wearing fucking, Versace and playing golf, and he's a finance bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody goes through those fucking phases. I used to wear fucking Slipknot shirts and trip pants and fucking Jinko jeans. And you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where you're like, oh, fucking, I'm into this now. Let me get the best thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it happens with everything.
It does.
And I think as you get older, it turns into less of an expression thing, because when you're young, you don't have money. So the only way you could express it is through, like, visually.
Yeah.
Let me spike my hair. Let me wear gauges. Let me wear these funky glasses, or trim my beard in a different way. But as you get older, you have the same sort of fixations, but it turns into like, hey, I'm really into fucking working in the yard. Buy this Swedish axe for $300.
That's so true.
You know, but it's like, it's all that different type of expression that just needs to, people find their way into it, they find their way through it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's terrible that they reinforce it the way that they do.
At such a young age.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, on that note, like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think.
Tell us how much you love us, but
tell us how much you hate us.